Story 1. Being the person in charge in an emergency, like when a pipe bursts or someone faints and everyone looks at you to see what the plan is. I look around for a more responsible adult only to realize, oh God, it's me. I'm the adult. We're all doomed. Story 2. I wear business attire so I look like I know what I am doing at work. Hint. I am still the same idiot under the nicer looking clothes. Story 3. Wearing lipstick or high heels makes me feel like I am playing dress up. Story 4. Choosing a good bottle of wine, I stand in the aisle squinting at the labels and pretending to understand the difference between oaky and bright. Then I pick the one with the coolest looking bird on the label and act like I made an educated choice at dinner. It's total theater. Story 5. When my kids were younger, I often had to act angry, annoyed, or displeased to help guide them between right and wrong. Half the time I was amused or not really upset, but I had to keep up the pretense to guide them down the right path. Now they are older and I feel like I do not have to pretend anymore. I can reason with them and explain why they probably should not have done what they did. When children are young, you have to show disappointment so they learn, even if inside you are having a big chuckle at their antics. Story 6. I volunteer at my kids' school and usually stand there waiting for instructions from the teachers. Imagine my shock when they handed me a knife and asked me to cut up apples. Wait, you trust me with a knife? Oh right, I'm an adult. Story 7. Buying insurance. This is not really going to happen to me, is it? Story 8. Checking into a hotel. Walking up to the desk with my identification and credit card. Receiving the plastic key. Feels like I'm playing a role in a movie. Yes, one room for one adult, please. I'm here on business. Story 9. When sweeping, I push the invisible pile until it becomes visible. In my opinion, it requires a non-zero amount of imagination. Story 10. Okay, this is weird, but when I cook it feels like play food rather than real food. I feel like I am playing kitchen as a child instead of cooking as a grown adult. Story 11. Everything relates to financial matters now. At the end of the day, it is just numbers on a screen to which we assign value. Story 12. Signature. Somehow, a magic scribble of my name can carry so much weight and consequence. Story 13. Pay your bills, electricity, gas, sewer, and so on. If you do not, nothing in your home will work. Story 14. Filing taxes. You are literally giving money to the government, signing forms like you are in a legal drama, and somehow calling it adulting. Story 15. Making a phone call during business hours still feels like I'm pretending to be an adult. Story 16. Buying a vacuum cleaner and actually getting excited about it. Story 17. Dating. I last dated a few years ago. My children are grown, so I should be an adult, though not a typical one. I can date like an adult, right? I have no idea what I am doing. Story 18. Registering a car every year feels pointless and like a scam. After the initial registration, it seems unnecessary except when a vehicle is no longer owned and must be unregistered. What purpose does it serve other than charging us more money for nothing? Story 19. Sending an email that ends with best regards. Who am I? Story 20. Telling my kids what to do. I can't believe I'm in charge of other humans. Story 21. Being a foreman on a construction job is different. When I was a worker bee, I always knew what I was supposed to do after the first few days. As a foreman, I explain what we are doing and where I want everyone to work, and then the next day I have to repeat the instructions. They sleep at night and seem to forget what they did the day before. I'm an adult, but it's like I have a lazy group of children in a playground who cannot play the games because they forgot the rules. Story 22. Handing my very valid identification to be checked for alcohol purchase or bar entry makes me nervous. I am 9 years older than the legal drinking age and have never had a fake identification, but I still worry they will find me out. Story 23. Driving. Something about it is so funny. I was there, and now I'm here. Story 24. Business transactions. I'm 40 and have been a business owner for 9 to 10 years. I still feel like I'm faking it every time I get a new client and become more successful. It's weird. I grew up poor, so I do not even know how to enjoy it. Story 25. I have to pick up the dry cleaning and put up the Christmas lights. You mean I have to do laundry, even the fancy stuff? Am I the Christmas magic now? Story 26. When I'm on the phone and someone asks, "Am I speaking to you?" I say, "Yes, this is she." Story 27. Filing taxes and pretending to know what itemized deductions are is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while someone shouts math problems at you. Story 28. Just being an adult. As a kid, I thought adults were smart, emotionally stable beings who understood almost everything. Story 29. I work at a grocery store and always feel like I'm playing store when I have to check a friend out at the register. Story 30. Parenting. No matter how informed I make myself, how great my child is, or how old they get, I still feel like a kid faking being a mom. Any day now, I am going to feel like an adult. I have only been alive for over 14,600 days, and yes, I used a calculator I carry everywhere, so take that, middle school math teacher. Story 31. As I entered my 40s and became the lead on projects at work, I still feel like an impostor. I am no longer faking it just for myself. 6 people now look to me for answers that I mostly guess at or redirect back to the questioner. The worst part is there is no way to go back. I cannot apply to junior analyst roles with 20 years of experience and be taken seriously, even though I would be fine with the pay and level of responsibility. Story 32. I help the younger kids. Why are you coming to me? I am 30 and know nothing, yet here I am helping you with your taxes, showing you how to change your mailing address at the post office, and changing your tire. Story 33. Working? No, it is not like I just log in, type, email people, do work, and log off. It gives me robot vibes. Story 34. I'm going to work. Why the hell am I paying bills, and why am I here? Story 35. Having your own lawyer prepare your will and trust documents. Story 36. Being an adult in general. I am 55 years old. I faked my way through parenthood and now through my 50s. It dawned on me the other day that my parents did the same, and their parents before them. Nobody knows what they are doing, and anyone who says otherwise is lying. Story 37. I am making a doctor's appointment. I need my mom to do it for me. Story 38. I am navigating an airport while traveling. Are you all just letting me wander unsupervised, drink beer at 10 a.m., and buy overly expensive headphones from a vending machine? I need a chaperone. Story 39. When conversing with other adults, everyone seems older than I am. I still feel like a kid. I am in my 50s. Story 40. Taxes in the United States. The government has access to all the information needed to automatically calculate taxes for almost everyone who claims the standard deduction, yet it still requires us to file our own returns or pay someone else to do so and then penalizes us if we prepare returns in a way it does not approve. Story 41. Making a presentation for a sale. Inside my head I think, are they buying this? Are they buying what I am saying? It is a surreal moment when people approach me afterwards to say the presentation went well. I basically just read things we already know with a backdrop of colorful screens. Story 42. I try to speak to other adults like an adult, but I feel like I have to fake every conversation because the things I enjoy and the way I talk without filters make me feel incredibly immature. I am almost 30. Do I actually sound immature? I don't know, but I cringe at my normal self. Story 43. Answering greetings such as, "Hi, how are you? Is this just an American thing?" So inauthentic. Story 44. I am calling to schedule my own doctor appointments. I am sitting there, giving them my insurance information and birth date like I am some kind of responsible adult, when inside I still feel like I should be asking my mother to do it. Story 45. Major financial planning, such as insurance, financing, or refinancing and investments, was never discussed in my family. I think this is partly because my family did not have a strong track record of making sound financial decisions, so money talk and financial literacy were not part of our culture and felt fraught. If I have a family of my own, that is something I would want to change. I currently do all right for myself. I am not wealthy, but I earn more than most people my age, certainly more than my parents did at this point in their lives. I try to manage my money well and continually educate myself to make good decisions. Growing up with the feeling that financial matters were something only grown-ups dealt with created degrees of separation and unfamiliarity, so it still feels kind of odd and fake to handle those things now. Story 46. Getting on a plane to travel abroad increases my anxiety because it feels like something only adults do and therefore not something I should be doing, especially when I am traveling alone. Taking a train to another part of the UK by myself feels wrong and makes me feel like an imposter. I am 49. Story 47. Sign important documents. Every time I think, are they really letting me do it? Story 48. Be cordial when someone is passive-aggressive in a professional setting or significantly older. Story 49. I'm getting older. I still cannot believe I have 3 kids in high school, and one is planning to go to college. I used to make fun of people who were 35 years old for being old and washed up. Story 50. I send professional emails with kind regards while staring dead inside at a screen I will apparently be chained to until I die. Story 51. I call places such as the doctor's office or the bank and confidently say hello and request an appointment. Every time I hang up, I am surprised they let me do that without supervision. Story 52. Customer service. At least in school, if I punched a bully in the mouth, the worst I might get is expulsion, not losing my health insurance in my home. Story 53. Decorating a home, especially as a man, can be minimal. A mattress on the floor, a television on the floor propped up with bricks as legs, and big gulp cups from 7-Eleven serving as dishware. And let us not forget the wall art made up of stills from your favorite movies, like Scarface at his desk, or a provocative image of a woman in a revealing thong. I am at the computer trying to figure out decor accents, color palettes, and how to choose a scent based on a room's function. I feel like I am cosplaying Frasier. Story 54. Emptying the dishwasher. It was my job, one of my allowance jobs, from when I was 12 every morning. I had to get it done on time or I would have to run for the bus. At 73, I still do it first thing, aiming to finish while the coffee is brewing. I just do not get paid for it anymore. Story 55. Household chores. When I am doing laundry, dishes, or other chores, I think it will get piled up again and I feel like I am just going through the motions. It has to be done. Do not get me wrong, but I do not feel any sense of accomplishment. Story 56. Scheduling appointments, setting up plans such as meeting friends or coworkers in person, and juggling different tasks that require sustained focus. Story 57. Grocery shopping. I feel like I'm playing house, and people walking by think how cute she is buying groceries. Story 58. Going to the bank in person, standing in line and filling out forms feels like I'm in someone else's adult world. Story 59. Laundry. You are telling me I have to throw all my dirty clothes in a hamper, sort them before washing to make sure everything is in the right place, wash and dry them, fold and organize them, and put them away every week, the same cycle forever. Story 60. Buying batteries before I need them. My brain asks, what are you going to do with those batteries? Then it replies, I'm sure I'll need them soon enough. Story 61. I pay a bill online and trust that the internet sent my money to the right place. I click submit payment and think, cool, I guess my rent is paid now. No handshake, no stamp, no proof, just an email receipt. Story 62. Sometimes I talk to my mom about hunting for a new apartment, and as I explain the list of concerns I mention at a showing, I am simultaneously thinking, why the heck is she assenting to all of this? I don't have a single idea what I'm doing. Story 63. I am working at my job, and I feel like I have imposter syndrome. Story 64. Buying a house seemed unreal to me. So you're telling me that I sign a huge stack of papers, watch some of the numbers in my bank account disappear, and then I own the house? Now I have to take care of it and the big yard I thought was a great idea? Story 65. Filling up gas. What is actually going through the handle? I do not see any liquid. Seems fake. Story 66. Paying rent online. Clicking submit. Feels like I am just pretending to be an adult while my bank account cries. Story 67. I work in a high-stress trauma hospital. I cannot believe people follow the actions I take during an emergency. I am very competent in my job, and surgeons value my input even though I am a surgical technician because I know my work. It is surprising to think about, laughing out loud. Story 68. Buying a car. It has been more than 3 years since I bought my current car. This was the first time I went through a dealership, and it all felt very fast. I emailed them about a car I saw on their site, test drove it the next day, and had the keys the day after. Still feels like a blur. I had to get pay stubs and sign papers, and I kept expecting someone to point and laugh and ask why I thought this would work. I do not know. Feels strange. Story 69. Talking to some adults about their responsibilities as if that is all they do feels fake. Pressures me to pretend, or they will see me as inferior, like a child. I see grown children behaving as they think adults should behave, and it grosses me out a little because they seem to be trying to prove themselves and it is clearly not real. Because they assume that appearing very adult has inherent value. If I do not constantly talk about how hard I am trying to be an adult without slipping up, they will treat me differently. Story 70. When I call a plumber or electrician and they treat me like a peer, I stand there nodding as if I understand, but inside I feel like a kid who somehow ended up with a mortgage and responsibilities. The fact that they ask me to make decisions about my house still feels surreal. Story 71. When giving advice to younger teachers, shouldn't they ask an experienced teacher? Oh, that's right. I have about 18 years of experience. Story 72. Grocery shopping. I always feel like I'm playing pretend. Story 73. Calling a doctor and scheduling an appointment feels like pretending to be an adult and hoping no one notices. Story 74. Saying I have to check my calendar and actually meaning it. Story 75. Setting deadlines for my reports at work. Who am I to tell them whether they should stay late and miss time with their families? Story 76. It stops feeling fake once you stop expecting adulthood to be magical. Story 77. I just got engaged, so I feel like a child playing dress up. I also need to enroll in health insurance. Am I allowed to do that? Story 78. Taxes keep going up, yet things are only getting worse. Where is that money being spent? Story 79. I am hanging my laundry on the clothesline outside. I am aware that it smells better, dries faster, and saves on utilities. But I just feel like a maid from the 19th century. Story 80. I'm doing my taxes. It's way easier now since you can do everything online. But 20 years ago it was different, and honestly I'm surprised I never got audited. Then again, I was making only $15,000 a year back then. Laughing out loud. I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes early on. Story 81. Anything about funerals or wakes. I feel like a kid playing dress up. Story 82. Calling to make appointments. I do not get nervous, but it feels like I am going to get in trouble for doing it wrong somehow. Story 83. When a niece or nephew asks you for advice or how something works, you must reply knowing that they will trust every word you say. Story 84. Having a grown-up job where I do adult things, people listen to me, and I apparently know what I'm talking about and am very good at it. Surreal. Story 85. I check the brake before putting it in the cart. I know why I do it, but turning it over and looking at it still feels fake as fuck. Story 86. When I call any department, such as the bank, the energy company, or the council, it all feels nonsensical. I work on the phones myself, and I know they are also just big kids doing a job. Story 87. Calling to inquire about anything or making doctor appointments. Getting gas and actually paying for anything. Pretty much any adult-related task that I can't do from the comfort of my home or that requires me to talk to strangers. I have never felt like the adult in the room. Story 88. Doing my taxes. What a hassle. For the last couple of years, I have had to file business taxes and decided to do them myself. There are about 50 additional pages of forms. Every time I submit them, I think, I guess this is fine. There is a page that asks which expenses you want to deduct, and you just enter items. There is no verification. I fill it out honestly because I think you need receipts if questioned, but I believe someone could enter a lot of false information to reduce their taxes and would likely not be caught unless they tried to reduce their taxes by around 80%. Despite everything I do not understand, I appear to be doing okay. I have never been audited or had anything questioned. Story 89. I still cannot wash dishes. I will clean everything else. That is why we split chores. Story 90. Buying furniture for a place that is actually mine, signing official documents, or paying bills online. Story 91. Contacting the police feels wrong after all the times I was a shithead kid. Eventually, you become the adult you feared when you were young. Story 92. I'm asking the government whether I paid the correct amount of taxes. I don't know, man. Shouldn't you tell me? Story 93. Driving a car still feels like I am doing something illegal. Story 94. I'm cooking dinner and realizing that no one else is responsible for feeding me. Story 95. Any kind of dressing up makes me feel like a total fraud. I feel incredibly awkward in a suit and tie, like I'm wearing a costume. Story 96. Posting on social media about your life tells everyone that you are happy, but you are not. Story 97. A coworker approached me last week and jokingly said they needed an adult. Then I realized I was the most adult person in that situation. It was a strange realization. Story 98. Taking my kids to the pediatrician. This is my tiny human. They are crawling, walking, and talking just as they should. I am in charge of them and know what I am doing. It does not help that they go to the same pediatrician's office I went to as a child. Story 99. Coffee enemas. The heart wants what it wants, but it's still weird. Story 100. Making important phone calls is difficult. I had to call to arrange repairs for my car after someone rear-ended me, and I felt lost. Anytime I have to make an adult call, I feel like I am playing at being a grown-up. I am 45 and have been on the phone my whole life. Story 101. Wearing high heels makes me feel fake, even though I know it is normal to wear them. Story 102. Literally my job. Can't believe people put this much trust in me. Story 103. Whenever my parents expect me to deal with anything remotely tech-related, especially matters related to their bills, I find it difficult. I don't know how any of this works. The government here keeps forcing random apps for everything, and I am hard-pressed to stay on top of it all. My parents never showed me how those systems worked before they went digital, so I am not even aware of half of it sometimes. Assessment tax? What is that? Story 104. I am shopping for a new car right now, and I feel like I should not be allowed. There are too many choices, it costs too much, and it is such a big commitment. Story 105. Driving is performed by over 1 billion people worldwide. Most know how to do it to some extent and operate reasonably effectively. Mistakes occur and some drivers are better than others, but the global success rate is remarkable. Most people understand similar signals. Red means stop, green means go, turn signals indicate direction changes, merging requires caution, and drivers observe safe speeds, following distances, and appropriate horn use. Story 106. Things with my daughter are challenging. She is 1, and I still find it hard to believe I am a dad. Sometimes I feel like I am babysitting my own child. I kind of am. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, laughing out loud. Story 107. Doing responsible adult things such as taking your car into the shop, scheduling appointments, and so on. Story 108. Whenever my nephew does something and I am responsible for him, I find myself asking questions such as what he wants for dinner or what time he wants to leave the playground. Then I remember that I am the adult and must decide. Often I have to make quick judgment calls instead of waiting to see how things play out. Even grocery shopping feels like an adult task. Buying items, checking out, loading the car, and leaving. It does not help when the cashiers are younger than me. They still treat me like the adult. Story 109. Apparently nearly everyone I have cooked for says I am quite good at cooking. I still do not believe them because most of the time it feels like I am just throwing things together and hoping something edible comes from it while trying to make sure I do not set anything on fire. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.